Welcome, everyone. I'm excited to introduce today's presentation on the Count of Monte Cristo. We'll be exploring Chapter 1, titled A Wicked Plan, authored by Mr. Mohammed Yahya. Over the course of this presentation, we'll delve into the key themes, characters, and the intriguing beginning of this classic novel. Let's get started. Let me introduce you to Edmund Dance. He's a young sailor, probably between 18 and 20 years old, and he stands tall with dark eyes and fair hair. When you see him, you notice he's brave, calm under pressure, and highly skilled at what he does on the ship. The ship he's working on is called the Pharaon, and Edmund's reputation as a talented sailor is well known among his crew. Everyone on the ship loves Edmund because of his good nature and dedication. But there's one person who doesn't share this affection, Danglars. He watches Edmund with a look of hatred in his eyes. This rivalry or animosity is important because it hints at underlying tensions and possible conflicts that will play a role later in our story. As we explore Edmund's character today, keep in mind how his qualities, bravery, calmness, and skill, set him apart, yet also make him a target of envy. These traits will influence how he navigates the challenges ahead, fitting into the overall theme of resilience and destiny in his journey. Today, I want to take you back to a significant moment in history, when the ship Pharaon arrived in Marseille. This happened on February 24th, 1815, after a long and often challenging journey across the seas. It was a moment of relief and anticipation for those awaiting news and new beginnings. However, this arrival was also marked by somber news. During the voyage, Captain Leckler, who was leading the ship, sadly passed away. His loss was a heavy blow to everyone on board. In his place, Edmund stepped up to take command, showing great resilience and leadership in a difficult time. This moment is not just about a ship arriving. It's about perseverance in the face of adversity and the transition of leadership under challenging circumstances. It sets the stage for understanding the broader journey and the personal trials faced along the way, which are central themes in our overall story. So, on this slide, we see that Edmund was given a very secret and important task by Captain Leckler before he passed away. The task was to deliver a special letter directly to Emperor Napoleon, who at that time was living on the island of Elba. Now, this wasn't just any ordinary delivery. This was a covert mission, because Napoleon was actually the enemy of the king. This means that Edmund's task was extremely risky. If anyone found out what he was doing, it could have serious consequences for him. It really highlights the danger and importance of the mission, and it also connects to the bigger picture of the story, how Edmund's actions could impact the political landscape and his own fate. So, this secret task is a key moment that shows how Edmund gets involved in something much bigger than himself, and it sets the stage for the choices he'll have to make later on. Now, let's talk about meeting the ship owner, Morrel. When I first met him, it was clear how relieved and pleased he was that the cargo had been safely delivered. It's always a moment of reassurance for an owner to see their goods intact after a long voyage. Morrel was genuinely happy about this, which shows how much he values the safety and integrity of his cargo. What really stood out was his impression of how Edmund handled the ship. Edmund's skill and calm under pressure left a strong impression on Morrel. It's important to remember that, in these situations, a captain's competence can make all the difference. Morrel's positive reaction highlights how crucial leadership and expertise are in navigating these complex challenges. Overall, this moment connects to our theme of trust and competence in maritime ventures. It reminds us that a captain's ability to manage risks and ensure the safety of the cargo not only preserves their reputation, but also builds trust with owners like Morrel. Good news for Edmund. This is a turning point in his life, and it's really exciting to share. So first, he gets a job promotion. Monsieur Morrel, the ship owner, is truly impressed with Edmund's skills and character. Because of that, he offers Edmund the prestigious position of captain. This is a huge opportunity for him, a clear sign of trust and recognition of his talent. Now, alongside this career success, Edmund also has personal happiness to celebrate. He's engaged to marry Mercedes, who is not only beautiful but also very dear to him. He can't wait to share this wonderful news with her, which shows how much she means to him. With his heart full of joy and hope, Edmund quickly goes to visit his father first, wanting to share his triumph and happiness. Then, he heads to see Mercedes, eager to tell her about his promotion and their future together. This moment captures a perfect blend of professional achievement and personal love, highlighting the overall theme of hope and new beginnings in Edmund's life. Let's take a moment to talk about Edmund's relationship with his father. Edmund is truly a good son. He always puts his family first. You'll notice that he visits his elderly father before seeing anyone else, which shows how much he values his family bonds. He makes it a point to ensure his father has everything he needs in their small home, demonstrating his caring and responsible nature. This dedication to family highlights a core theme of loyalty and love that runs throughout the story. It's a reminder that sometimes, the simplest acts of kindness and commitment speak volumes about a person's character. Now let's talk about Mercedes, Edmund's beloved fiancée. She is truly a beautiful woman both inside and out. Her dark hair and soft, expressive eyes reveal her gentle nature and deep affection. Mercedes loves Edmund with all her heart, and her devotion is unwavering. She's patiently waiting for his return, holding on to hope and love despite the uncertainties. Her words, "I love Edmund Dance, I will marry no other man," show her firm commitment and the strength of her feelings. Throughout this story, Mercedes represents loyalty and pure love, themes that resonate deeply as we see the emotional bonds that drive the character's actions. Her love for Edmund highlights the importance of faithfulness and hope, which are central to the overall message of the narrative. Now, here we see a truly heartwarming moment, a happy reunion. Imagine the excitement and anticipation in the air. Mercedes, with her heartfelt message, says, "Edmund, I'm here." You can feel the emotional weight behind those words. When Edmund finally arrives at Mercedes' home, what happens next is something very special. They fall into each other's arms with such joy that it's almost as if nothing else exists in that moment. Their happiness is so pure and complete that they forget everything around them, all worries, all distractions. This scene really captures the power of connection and the importance of being with loved ones. It reminds us that sometimes, the greatest happiness comes from simply being together. This emotional reunion ties into our overall theme of love, hope, and the resilience of the human spirit. Fernand is Mercedes' cousin, and he's been in love with her for 10 years. You can imagine how deep his feelings are and how much he cares for her. Now, the interesting part is that Fernand hates Edmund. When Edmund returns, Fernand's emotions take a dark turn. He feels intense jealousy and anger towards Edmund, so much so that it could even drive him to hurt him. This jealousy is a key element in understanding Fernand's character and the broader themes of desire and rivalry in this story. It shows how long-standing feelings and jealousy can lead to dangerous actions, which ties into the overall idea of passion and conflict we're exploring in this presentation. Now let's talk about Danglars, known as the evil planner. He harbors a strong hatred for Edmund, which is a key part of his character. Although Danglars works on the ship, he's actually quite jealous of Edmund's success and skills. His main goal is to become the captain himself, and he's determined to stop Edmund from reaching that position. In fact, Danglars doesn't want Edmund to become the captain of the Pharaon at all. This jealousy and ambition drive much of his scheming and make him a central antagonist in the story. It's important to see how his personal envy influences his actions, tying into the larger theme of greed and rivalry that runs through the narrative. So, in this part of the story, we see Danglars devising a wicked plan against Edmund. He decides to frame him by writing a letter to the authorities, claiming that Edmund is actually an enemy of the king. The plan is to tarnish Edmund's reputation and get him arrested. But Danglars doesn't stop there. He also suggests that Edmund has a secret letter from Napoleon, who was considered a significant threat to the king at the time. This adds another layer of suspicion and makes the false accusation even more convincing. Now, here's where Fernand comes into play. He agrees to help Danglars with this scheme, primarily because he's motivated by his desire to marry Mercedes. Fernand's involvement shows how personal ambitions and jealousy can lead to destructive actions. Overall, this slide highlights a key moment in the plot. the creation of a malicious plan that aims to destroy Edmund's reputation and freedom. It also illustrates how characters' personal motives can drive them to commit unethical acts, which ties into the larger themes of betrayal, deception, and revenge in the story. Today, I want to share a story that really highlights how unexpected events can drastically change the course of our lives. On the wedding day, Edmund and Mercedes were filled with joy and excitement as they prepared to start their new life together. They had hearts full of happiness, dreaming of a bright future. But just as everything seemed perfect, a sudden turn of events occurred. Right before the ceremony, police officers arrived unexpectedly and arrested Edmund. This moment was a shocking disruption, reminding us how fragile our plans can be and how quickly circumstances can change. It's a powerful example of how unpredictable life can be, even on the most important days. This incident ties into our overall theme of resilience and adaptability, showing that no matter what happens, we need to stay strong and find ways to move forward. So, at this point in the story, we see that the wicked plan has succeeded exactly as Danglars envisioned. Edmund, who was once hopeful and proud, is now being taken away by the police. And this moment is particularly cruel because it was supposed to be one of the happiest days of his life, his wedding day. Instead of celebration, we see a sense of tragedy unfolding. Danglars, watching everything happen, is actually smiling. This might seem cold, but it highlights how satisfied he is because Edmund won't be able to pursue his ambitions, specifically becoming captain, which was a major goal for him. Meanwhile, Mercedes is left behind, devastated. She's heartbroken and overwhelmed by uncertainty, not knowing if she'll ever see Edmund again. This scene really underscores the destructive power of revenge and manipulation, themes that run throughout the story. Ultimately, this slide reminds us how carefully crafted plans, even when successful in the short term, can cause profound pain and set the stage for further consequences. The journey begins. This slide marks the start of Edmund's incredible adventure, and it's really just the beginning of what promises to be a remarkable story. As we look ahead, we have some intriguing questions. What will happen to our hero next? Will he manage to reunite with Mercedes, the love of his life? And what about justice? Will it finally be served against those who wronged him, like Danglars and Fernand? These questions remind us that this story is far from over. There's so much more to come. It highlights how the themes of hope, perseverance, and justice are still very much at the core of Edmund's journey. Remember, the adventure is only just beginning, and the next chapters will reveal how these mysteries unfold.